All right, welcome back, everyone. Excited to jump into another episode of Budget University. We're going to go over a very specific real use case. All names have been changed, everything's anonymous, but these are real numbers by someone's real situation. Excited to jump in today. We got another single bro today. This guy's been working for a couple of years out of college, living in a big city, so some of his fixed costs are a little bit higher. Overall, pretty interesting situation. Let's jump on in. First thing you'll notice that this guy's take-home pay, almost $7,000 a month. For a single dude, even if you are living in a big expensive city, it's a pretty decent chunk of change. The other most obvious thing about these first numbers is seeing, hey, even though he makes a lot of money, we only got $4,000 in cash, but we got $47,000 in debt. That's pretty high, pretty simple here. We got $32,000 in a car, that's the biggest chunk. We got medical and student loans, $9,000. Not sure what the medical loans are all about. Overall, less than $10K, even if that was just your student loans. Great position to be in. Obviously got a nice degree, so we can get that good that big six-figure income before taxes. After taxes, still looking at a decent chunk of change. And then $6,000 on other. Not really sure what this is, so I just put credit card, but clearly some type of consumer debt that doesn't fall into these other two categories. Some unsecured debt, so going to be at a higher interest rate. So we got $47,000 of debt. That's going to be the biggest thing we're going to tackle. We're going to circle back to that in a minute. First, let's go over all those fixed monthly expenses. The first, most basic expenses is just simply living, right? We got rent, we got food, we got all of the basic life expenses, cell phone, internet, whatever, things like that, basic utilities, gas. So basic expenses, we're looking at $1,700 a month for rent, $400 a month for food, including restaurants, and he was at $250 for all of the life expenses, phone, gas, etc. You combine all this together, we got about $2,350, so 35% of his monthly income, just on basic living expenses. Not too bad considering that it's including food and everything like that. So right around that 33% mark is where you want to be. Next, we're going to cover his debt. So for debt, he's got his regular payments, his car, that's the biggest one, of course, $650 a month. And then those medical student loans are at $500 a month, and then those other ones are at $200 a month. So again, not exactly sure what this is, not sure if these are like appliances or credit card, whatever it is, but a little bit higher interest rate, $200 a month. So all of this is totaling $1,350 a month. So between his debt and his basic life expenses, we're spending about 50%, it's 54% of his monthly income. So there's a lot of other room to work with here. We're going to talk about some other regular expenses he has, but you can see right here, the fact that we're so far down, like these are the bare minimum expenses that he has to do, right? His basic bills, his basic payments, we're at 54%. So there's 45% of his monthly income that we have a lot of flexibility with. We'll see what he's doing now and what changes we would make. These last few items here that he's going to spend on a regular basis, we got his charity. He's spending $770 a month, a few different charities. He's got a niece and nephew who are in college, and he's helping pay for their books, so he puts money away for that every month. He's got his church. He's got his local food bank. So he's got a few different charities. Overall, spending just under $800 a month. Pretty big chunk of change there. We're looking at, 12% or something like that. So a lot of money given to charity there. $400 a month for partying, dating, going out, socializing, vacations, whatever it is. And then IRA/savings, he's got $200 a month towards IRA. That's auto payment. You know what? That's awesome. Leave it as is. And then another $500 a month going towards savings. So he clearly hasn't been doing this for too long, the savings part, because he's only got $4,000 cash. Maybe he had a recent change of expenses. I'm not really sure. Or maybe he used a chunk of his cash to put down on his car payment, his down payment on for his car. Not exactly sure, but he's going overall $700 a month towards savings, including IRA, which is great. 401k is a little interesting. So right now, he actually has a 401k that has over $40,000, which being in your 20s, kid's only 27, $40,000, obviously, that's a ton of money in your 401k. Great start there. He's only been working for 2 years, so he's been putting a lot of money in that. But he just changed jobs, which gives us a couple of interesting variables. He can't actually contribute to his new 401k for another year, for his first year at his new job. So that's interesting in that he's kind of stuck there. But he's still doing his own personal IRA, which is great. Again, these are just different retirement accounts, a way to get tax advantage savings. So you can put money away now, take it out when you're in your 60s, and then have a big advantage when it comes to taxes. Government incentives to save and plan for the future, and be less of a burden on society and more independent when it comes to retirement age. So that's the whole idea between his IRA 401ks. We can dive into that deeper in another subject. Just know he's setting himself up for retirement really responsibly, really looking forward ahead to his future 40 years down the road. So love that. That's great. All in all, with everything, including some savings and IRA investing, things like that, he's at 89% of his income is accounted for. So there's still $1,280 a month that's totally unaccounted for. And if you ask me, it's pretty obvious where this should go. That $1,280 a month, it's going to go right here to tackle this debt. But before we dive into that, there's actually something interesting. He just changed jobs. He actually got a really big signing bonus. I think it was 7 grand, 8 grand. It was $8,000. So he got an $8,000 bonus for this new job. So immediately, there's no question what I would do with that. He already has an apartment, already has a car. He doesn't need to put this money towards anything. First thing I would do, I would just change this immediately to $39,000. Just all 8,000. Don't touch it. Just throw it straight into your debt right here. Immediately, we've already tackled 8 grand of this big 47 number. That's a big number. That's a big intimidating number. We've already knocked it down a huge chunk, which is awesome. And if all we did was just make these payments, we're looking at $1,350 a month towards $39K because he just put down those. Keep the payments the same, even though you just made those big payments towards the principal. Keep your payments the same. You're looking at roughly 3 years? I don't know, it depends on the interest rates, but you're looking at roughly 3 years until you're debt free. But we know we have some other opportunities here. Now this $4,000, because this fixed expenses is at $2,350, I like to get that a little more up. I know Dave Ramsey says you wait, you don't do your 6 months of emergency fund until you pay down your debt. I think that's great advice for certain situations. For most situations, there are some situations where I think, you're in a situation where your habits have been changed. You're not, spending. You're not consuming, simple greedy stuff. In that case, I like to build up my emergency fund a little bit more. Maybe not the full 6 months, but at least 2 months, right? So that $500 a month he's putting towards his savings, I would keep doing that for a couple of months. Get this boosted up a little bit to get it up to, $5,000. So just for 2 more months, throw an extra $500. But this $1,280, all of that's combining here. We're combining now our $1,350 with a $1,280. That gives us $2,630 that we can put towards this month. That makes us pay this debt off instead of in roughly 3 years. That's more about 15 to 16 months. So a little bit over a year, less than a year and a half. We already are just cutting this in half. All right, originally we're looking at 4 years before this $8,000 bonus. Right, so we're saying, hey, if you keep making your payments, you're disciplined, you're looking at, and you don't acquire any more debt. Obviously, that's the biggest variable when it comes to getting out of debt. You can't be adding more debt. We're saying, hey, you're looking at 4 years. Well, let's throw your bonus at this. Now we're looking at 3 years. Okay, well now we're switching this down. We're already under a year and a half. So we've completely slashed this plan to just say, hey, let's crush this. Let's not make this a long-term plan. There's no need. He's a single dude with not a ton of expenses, making a really good amount of money. Why not just crush this, get out of it, get rid of it? Now, I know we can be switching this up, and people can say, hey, well, if we're getting low investment rates, right? If we have low interest rates on these bills, this one's probably higher. I'm sure that we're going to knock that out, no question. But people will say, yeah, you get your car and your student loans at only 4%. Take this extra money, invest it. You could be getting 7, 8, 9, 10%, whatever it is that you get during the next few years during that. And you're making more money. So keep this debt, keep this leverage. We're not going down that road. We're just saying, hey, you're in your 20s. Who cares? Just get rid of the risk that's involved with that, right? People just look at it and they say, if you can borrow at 4% and invest at 8%, sweet, give me $1 million to do that. I'm using someone else's money to make 4% a year. Awesome. It's not that simple, right? There is risk involved. That 8% isn't guaranteed. What is guaranteed is that 4%. If that's your interest rate, it could be higher, obviously. And so the idea that you can always just invest and keep yourself leveraged, there's risk involved there that people usually don't talk about during that. So we're going to ignore that or say, just get rid of this debt. We can conquer this in like a year and a half. Let's just get rid of it, and then we can focus on investing and growing that huge nest egg, getting yourself a big old down payment for a house, etc. Now, there's one last factor that we talked about, but we kind of let it slip, right? That $500, I said keep saving your $500 towards your cushion a little bit. Build up your cash cushion a little bit more so you have at least 2 months of your fixed expenses here. Your basic life. It's not your debt payments, but at least your basic life expenses. You're going to have 2 months of those. So let's build this up a little bit. Well, then what? After 2 months, what do we do with that other $500? Obviously, I'm saying let's throw it at the payments. So we're going to move this. Now we're crushing our payments. These debt payments, $3,130 a month. That is obviously a ton of money, right? A lot of people can just live off of $3,000 a month. That's a decent chunk of change for a single person. You're just going to throw that as debt. You'll knock this out 13 months, right? You get a Christmas bonus, you throw your Christmas bonus at it as well. Next 4th of July, you're celebrating independence, you got no debt, right? It's a pretty sweet situation. I strongly recommend this. If this was my situation, this is exactly what I would do. Take that cash bonus, throw it at your debt, just knock those principals down quite a bit so you're accruing less interest right off the bat. Maybe build this up a little bit more, keep doing your IRA. Why not? It's automatic. You already have it set up. Just keep doing it. But then just throw everything right here. That still leaves you your $400 a month for partying. It still leaves you your charity. You're still living the same lifestyle. You're not doing anything different. I mean, this is a really good situation. And obviously the reason being is because, again, after all your basic payments, we still had 45% of your income to play with, right? That's what makes this so flexible. That's what really makes this a situation where it's like, hey, I can still live the same lifestyle. I can still party. I can still go on some vacations. I can still date. I can still do whatever I want, still hang out with friends, do all that stuff, and just crush this debt and be out of it in a year. So that's my challenge for you. Next 4th of July, celebrate your independence from all lenders. Have completely no debt. That's easily done with this plan. It's not that difficult. You're making a ton of money. You're responsible. Just knock this out. Good luck, man. Thank you for tuning in today. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you next time. If you want to do your own situation and you want me to go through your numbers, shoot me an email, st.vanderhook, no spaces, @gmail.com, st.vanderhook, no spaces, @gmail.com. Send that over to me and we can get you set up. Obviously, we'll keep everything anonymous, and I'm excited for more videos down the future. Thanks, guys.